Years passed, and Earth entered a new era. The scars of the alien invasion had faded, though they were not forgotten. Memorials stood in cities around the world, honoring those who had lost their lives defending humanity. Stories of heroes like Jake Monroe and Lisa Bennett were told to children, inspiring a generation that had grown up under the shadow of the stars. The fragile peace with the aliens held, though it was far from perfect. Diplomatic envoys traveled regularly between Earth and the alien homeworld, sharing knowledge and working to bridge the gap between two vastly different civilizations. Humanity's advancements flourished, fueled by the secrets unlocked from alien technology. Clean energy-powered cities and medical breakthroughs saved countless lives. But with every step forward came whispers of caution. What if the aliens' desperation returned? What if their promises weren't enough? Natalie Hughes spent her days in a state-of-the-art research facility. Her work focused on understanding the aliens' motives and ensuring Earth's safety. She often thought about the first message they had sent, the one demanding access to humanity's children. It still haunted her, a reminder of how close the world had come to losing everything. But now she saw glimpses of hope. The aliens, once feared as invaders, were beginning to reveal themselves as more than just a threat. They were a species fighting for survival, much like humanity itself. Daniel Carter, now older and grayer, watched the changes unfold with a mix of pride and unease. He had spent decades protecting Earth's secrets, but now those secrets were shared openly with the world, and cautiously with the aliens. He often visited schools, speaking to children about the importance of courage, unity, and curiosity. "We've shown the universe that we won't back down," he would say, his voice steady and firm. "But we've also shown that we can learn, adapt, and grow." In New York, Lisa Bennett sat on a park bench, watching Alex play with friends. He was older now, his laughter carrying across the playground as he chased after a soccer ball. Lisa smiled, though her eyes occasionally drifted to the sky. She no longer flinched at the sight of stars, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the universe still held mysteries, some beautiful, others dangerous. Still, she was grateful. Her son was safe, and the world was healing. Jake Monroe, retired from active duty, spent his days mentoring young pilots. He often spoke about the battle against the aliens, not to glorify war, but to remind others of the cost of freedom. "We fought to protect our future," he would say. "Now it's your job to build it." As the years turned into decades, humanity's relationship with the aliens deepened. Trade routes opened between worlds, and cultural exchanges brought new ideas and perspectives. Earth was no longer alone in the cosmos, and while some feared what that meant, others embraced the possibilities. But Daniel never stopped looking to the stars. On quiet nights, he would sit on his porch, gazing at the endless expanse above. He knew the alien civilization was still struggling, their survival far from guaranteed. And though they had kept their promises so far, he couldn't ignore the lingering questions. What if their desperation returned? What if another species, more hostile than the last, discovered Earth? For now, though, humanity had proven its strength, not through brute force, but through resilience, ingenuity, and the courage to face the unknown. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Daniel believed they could be overcome. After all, humanity had already faced its greatest fear and emerged stronger than ever. The clock ticked onward, and the universe remained vast and unpredictable. But Earth was ready. Its people had learned to adapt, to fight, and to hope. And as long as they remembered the lessons of the past, they would face the future with open eyes and unwavering determination. Months passed, and Earth continued to rebuild. The scars of the alien invasion were still visible: shattered buildings, empty playgrounds, and families forever changed. But life went on. In Geneva, Daniel Carter stood in a secure command center, his eyes fixed on a large screen displaying a map of the solar system. A red dot blinked faintly near the edge of the Kuiper Belt, marking the location of an alien signal detected by Earth's deep space telescopes. "They're out there," Natalie Hughes said, her voice soft but firm as she joined him. "The signal is weak, but it's consistent. They're trying to communicate." Daniel nodded, his expression grim. "What do they want?" Natalie hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on the edge of her tablet. "I don't think they're planning another attack. At least, not yet. Their message is different this time. It's almost like a plea." "A plea for what?" Daniel asked, though he already suspected the answer. "For help," Natalie replied, meeting his gaze. "Their civilization is dying. We were right about that. But now they're asking us to share what we've learned from their technology, to work together." The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Humanity had spent centuries hiding its advancements, fearing what might happen if more powerful civilizations discovered Earth. Now the aliens were offering a chance at cooperation, a fragile olive branch extended across the stars. Daniel turned to face the others in the room, his voice calm but resolute. "We need to decide what kind of species we want to be. Do we turn our backs on them? Or do we try to help, even if it means taking a risk?" The debate was heated. Some argued that helping the aliens would only invite further danger, while others believed it was the right thing to do. After hours of discussion, a decision was made. Earth would respond to the aliens' message, agreeing to share limited knowledge in exchange for assurances of peace. It was a risky move, but one born of hope rather than fear. In New York, Lisa Bennett watched the news with Alex by her side. The announcement of humanity's decision brought mixed reactions. Some celebrated the gesture of goodwill, while others worried it was a mistake. Lisa didn't know what to think. She had fought to protect her son during the invasion, and the thought of trusting the aliens felt wrong. But deep down, she wanted to believe that cooperation was possible. At the military base, Jake Monroe prepared for a new mission. This time, he wasn't leading an attack. He was part of a diplomatic envoy sent to meet the aliens. The thought of stepping aboard their ship filled him with unease, but he knew it was necessary. Humanity had shown its strength. Now it needed to show its courage. As the spacecraft launched into space, Jake stared out the window at the curve of Earth below. The planet looked small from up here, fragile and beautiful. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel a flicker of hope. If humanity could survive an alien invasion, maybe it could also learn to coexist. When the envoy reached the alien vessel, they were greeted cautiously. The aliens' forms were strange and otherworldly, their glowing eyes unreadable. Through a translator device, they expressed gratitude for Earth's response and promised to honor their side of the agreement. Jake listened intently, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon, not out of hostility, but as a reminder of what was at stake. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Schools reopened, and children laughed again under the sun. Lisa held Alex close, grateful for every moment they had together. Natalie worked tirelessly to decode more of the aliens' technology, determined to ensure humanity stayed one step ahead. But Daniel often found himself staring at the stars, wondering if the aliens truly intended to keep their promises, or if another threat loomed beyond the horizon. Whatever the future held, he knew one thing for certain. Humanity was ready. It had proven its strength, its resilience, and its capacity for hope. And that was enough. For now, weeks had passed since the alien threat was neutralized, but the world remained on edge. The skies were clear for now, but no one dared to believe the danger was truly over. In Geneva, Daniel Carter sat in a dimly lit conference room, his eyes scanning a holographic projection of the alien mothership's remains. Scientists and engineers surrounded him, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of screens as they dissected every fragment of captured technology. "We've learned a lot," Natalie Hughes said, her voice steady but tinged with unease. She pointed to a section of the projection. "Their energy source is unlike anything we've seen. It's efficient, clean, and nearly limitless. If we can replicate it, it could change everything." Daniel nodded slowly, his mind racing with possibilities and warnings. But why share this with us? Why leave it behind? Natalie hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of her tablet. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Or maybe they wanted us to have it. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Humanity had won the battle, but the aliens' motives remained a mystery. Were they testing Earth's defenses, or had their retreat been part of a larger plan? In New York, Lisa Bennett walked through the streets with Alex, her son skipping ahead of her as he chased a stray balloon. The city was healing, its scars slowly fading beneath layers of fresh paint and rebuilt structures. But Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. She glanced up at the sky, her grip tightening on Alex's hand. The memory of the drones descending from the heavens haunted her dreams, a constant reminder that peace was fragile. At the military base, Jake Monroe recovered from his injuries, though the toll of the battle lingered in both body and mind. He spent his days training new pilots, sharing his experiences, and preparing them for the possibility of another fight. Despite his efforts to stay strong, there were moments when the memories overwhelmed him. Flashes of exploding ships, the faces of fallen comrades, the deafening silence of space. One evening, as he stood on the tarmac watching the sun dip below the horizon, Ryan Cole approached him. "You think they'll come back?" Ryan asked, his voice quiet but heavy with concern. Jake didn't answer right away. He stared at the horizon, the colors of dusk painting the sky in shades of orange and red. "They'll come back," he said finally. "It's just a matter of time." Across the globe, governments worked tirelessly to fortify Earth's defenses. Military forces were equipped with reverse-engineered alien technology, their weapons and ships more advanced than ever before. Cities installed early warning systems, and schools conducted regular drills to prepare for emergencies. Humanity was no longer playing dumb. It was ready to face whatever came next. But not everyone agreed on how to proceed. Some argued for a preemptive strike, urging leaders to send ships into deep space to hunt down the aliens before they could regroup. Others, like Daniel, believed caution was key. "We don't know enough about them yet," he said during a heated debate. "If we act too quickly, we risk provoking an even bigger conflict." Meanwhile, Natalie continued her research, determined to uncover the truth about the aliens' intentions. Late one night, she discovered something startling. A faint signal buried within the data collected from the mothership. It was weak, almost imperceptible, but it carried a message. Her heart raced as she decoded it, her hands trembling as the translation appeared on her screen. "They're dying," she whispered to herself, her voice barely audible. The alien civilization was collapsing, their resources depleted. Their invasion hadn't been an act of aggression. It had been one of desperation. They had sought humanity's children not out of malice, but out of a need to survive. Natalie immediately contacted Daniel, who listened in stunned silence as she explained her findings. "This changes everything," he said finally. "If they're desperate, they'll stop at nothing to get what they need." The revelation weighed heavily on both of them. Humanity had fought to protect itself, but now it faced a moral dilemma. Could they justify withholding aid from a dying species, or was survival the only thing that mattered? As the sun rose over Earth, casting its light on a world forever changed, the question lingered unanswered. The battle may have been won, but the war, for morality, for survival, for the future, was far from over. The aftermath of the battle left Earth both scared and united. Cities around the world were picking up the pieces, their streets filled with the sounds of cleanup crews and emergency vehicles. In New York, Lisa Bennett sat on a park bench, her son Alex asleep in her arms. The exhaustion etched on her face was shared by millions. She watched as workers repaired damaged buildings and removed the remnants of alien drones from the streets. It was a grim reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. In space, Jake Monroe's battered ship limped back toward Earth, its engine sputtering but still functional. His hands trembled as he guided it through the atmosphere, every movement sending fresh waves of pain through his body. The cockpit was a mess of smoke and broken controls, but he didn't care. He had done what he set out to do: protect humanity. When his ship finally touched down at a military base, medics rushed to pull him out. His face was pale, his uniform torn and bloodied, but he managed a faint smile as he saw his surviving teammates waiting for him. "They're gone," Ryan Cole said, clapping a hand on Jake's shoulder. "You did it." Jake nodded weakly. "For now." Meanwhile, Natalie Hughes and Daniel Carter stood in the command center, reviewing the data collected during the battle. The screens displayed fragments of the aliens' technology, their systems now offline but still holding secrets. Natalie's eyes lit up as she analyzed the information, her mind racing with possibilities. "We can learn so much from this," she said, pointing to a series of diagrams. "Their energy sources, propulsion systems, it's all far beyond anything we've developed." Daniel crossed his arms, his expression thoughtful. But why did they target children? What was their plan? Natalie hesitated, her voice softening. "I think they wanted to assimilate them, to use their minds as part of their collective consciousness. Children are more adaptable, more vulnerable to neural manipulation. If they succeeded, they could have controlled an entire generation." Daniel frowned, the weight of her words sinking in. "Then we were lucky. Too lucky." Across the globe, governments worked together to rebuild and prepare for the possibility of another attack. Military forces coordinated efforts to dismantle any remaining alien drones, while scientists studied the captured technology. Emergency broadcasts urged citizens to remain vigilant, though many found it hard to shake the fear that lingered in the air. In Geneva, representatives from around the world gathered once again at the United Nations headquarters. This time, there was no debate about whether to reveal humanity's hidden advancements. The threat had been too real, too devastating to ignore. Plans were made to share certain technologies publicly, ensuring that the world would be better prepared if the aliens returned. Natalie and Daniel attended the meeting, their presence met with gratitude and respect. When asked about the future, Daniel spoke with quiet determination. "We've shown the universe that we won't back down," he said. "But this isn't the end. We need to keep pushing forward, to understand the aliens' motives and protect ourselves from whatever comes next." As the days passed, life began to return to a semblance of normalcy. Schools reopened, and playgrounds filled with laughter once again. But the scars of the invasion remained, both visible and unseen. Parents held their children a little tighter, and skies were scanned with wary eyes. For Lisa, the experience had changed her forever. She volunteered to help organize community safety programs, teaching others how to respond in emergencies. Her actions in the subway had inspired countless people, and though she didn't see herself as a hero, others did. In space, the wreckage of the alien mothership drifted silently, its surface dark and lifeless. But deep within its core, a faint pulse of light flickered, a signal sent into the void, carrying a message to those who had sent it. Humanity had fought back, but the aliens weren't defeated. They were learning, adapting, planning. And so was Earth. The battle in space raged on as Jake Monroe and his squadron fought to hold their ground against the relentless alien drones. The sleek, glowing machines darted through the void with impossible speed, their weapons firing bursts of energy that lit up the darkness. Jake's ship shuddered under the force of another near miss, alarms blaring in the cockpit as sparks flew from the control panel. "We can't keep this up forever," Ryan Cole said over the comms, his voice strained. His ship had taken heavy damage, smoke curling from its engines as he struggled to stay in formation. "Just a little longer," Jake replied, his jaw tightening. "Natalie's working on something. We need to buy her time." The time was running out. One by one, the pilots fell victim to the aliens' superior firepower. A bright flash filled the void as another ship exploded, its pilot lost in an instant. Jake clenched his teeth, forcing himself to focus. He couldn't afford to think about the losses. Not yet. Back on Earth, Natalie Hughes worked furiously in the command center, her eyes glued to the screens displaying data from the battle. The counter signal had disrupted the drones temporarily, but the aliens were already adapting. Their network was reconfiguring, bypassing the interference she had created. She knew it was only a matter of minutes before the drones regained full functionality. "There has to be another way," she muttered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Her mind raced as she sifted through lines of code, searching for anything she might have missed. Then, buried deep in the data, she found it. A secondary frequency, weaker than the primary but still critical to the aliens' operations. If she could target it, she might be able to cripple their system for good. "I've got something," Natalie said, her voice cutting through the tension in the room. "Send this new signal to the ships. It'll overload their systems, but you'll need to get close to the mothership to transmit it." Daniel Carter turned to her, his expression grim. "How close?" "Too close," she admitted. "If they don't make it back after sending the signal, we'll lose them." Daniel hesitated for only a moment before giving the order. "Do it. Send the coordinates to Jake." In space, Jake received the transmission. His heart sank as he read the message. The mission was a one-way trip, or at least it felt that way. But there was no time to hesitate. With a deep breath, he addressed his remaining team. "Listen up. We're going straight for the mothership. Once we're in range, I'll send the signal. You all fall back as soon as it's done." "No way," Ryan shot back. "We're not leaving you behind." "You don't have a choice," Jake said firmly. "This is the only shot we've got. Now follow orders." Reluctantly, the others agreed. Jake pushed his ship forward, weaving through a hail of plasma blasts as he closed in on the massive alien vessel. Its surface shimmered menacingly, pulsating with light as if alive. The closer he got, the more intense the attacks became. His shields flickered dangerously low, but he didn't stop. "Signal ready," Natalie's voice crackled over the comms. "Transmitting now." Jake activated the sequence, the ship's systems humming as the signal began to broadcast. The aliens reacted instantly, swarms of drones converging on his position. The others tried to cover him, firing wildly to keep the attackers at bay. "It's working," Natalie shouted. "Their systems are destabilizing." But the cost was high. Jake's ship took a direct hit, flames erupting inside the cockpit. Pain seared through his body, but he held on, refusing to let go until the signal completed. Finally, a deafening explosion rocked the void as the alien network collapsed. The drones froze mid-flight, their cores dimming as they drifted lifelessly. "Mission complete," Jake gasped, his voice barely audible. "Fall back. Now." The surviving pilots obeyed, turning their ships toward Earth as Jake's craft limped behind them. Smoke filled his cockpit, his vision blurring as exhaustion and pain took over. But he allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. For now, humanity was safe. Back on Earth, Lisa Bennett clutched Alex tightly as news of the victory spread. The skies cleared, the invaders retreating into the depths of space. For the first time in hours, she let herself believe they might survive this. But deep down, she knew the fight wasn't over. The aliens would return, and next time, humanity would need to be ready. The skies above New York City turned an unnatural shade of orange as alien drones descended from the heavens. Their sleek, metallic forms cut through the air with precision, their glowing cores casting eerie shadows on the streets below. Panic erupted as people realized the drones weren't just observing. They were targeting schools and playgrounds. Parents grabbed their children, shouting and running in every direction as the invaders closed in. Lisa Bennett stood frozen for a moment, her heart pounding as she watched a drone hover near the entrance of her son's school. Her hands tightened around the straps of his backpack as she pulled him close. "Stay with me, Alex," she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. She didn't have time to think, only to act. The streets were chaos. Cars screeched to a halt as drivers abandoned their vehicles, and the sound of screams filled the air. Lisa spotted an open subway entrance nearby and made a split-second decision. Clutching Alex's hand tightly, she darted toward it, weaving through the panicked crowd. Behind her, the drone's core flared brighter, its sensors locking onto their movements. "Mom, I'm scared," Alex whimpered, his small voice breaking through the noise. "I know, baby," Lisa said, forcing herself to stay calm. "Just keep running." They reached the subway stairs and plunged into the dimly lit tunnel below. The cool air was a sharp contrast to the chaos above, but Lisa knew they weren't safe yet. The sound of the drone's engines echoed behind them, growing louder as it followed them into the station. She glanced back, her breath catching in her throat as the machine hovered at the top of the stairs, its glowing core scanning the area. "Keep going," Lisa urged, pulling Alex deeper into the tunnels. They ducked into a maintenance corridor, hiding behind a stack of crates. Lisa pressed a finger to her lips, signaling for Alex to stay quiet. Her mind raced as she tried to think of a way out. The drone's sensors were advanced, but they couldn't see through solid objects. At least, not yet. Above ground, military forces scrambled to respond. Tanks rolled through the streets, and fighter jets streaked across the sky, attempting to intercept the drones. Emergency broadcasts urged citizens to stay indoors, but the warning came too late for many. In cities around the world, similar scenes played out as the invaders targeted vulnerable populations. Back in the subway, Lisa noticed a power box on the wall. An idea sparked in her mind. If she could overload the system, it might create enough interference to confuse the drone, or at least buy them some time. She didn't hesitate. Pulling Alex closer, she whispered, "Stay here, no matter what." Alex nodded, tears streaming down his face but determination in his eyes. Lisa crept toward the power box, her movements careful and deliberate. She opened the panel and began fiddling with the wires inside, her hands shaking but steady. Sparks flew as she crossed two wires, and the lights flickered before surging brightly. The hum of electricity filled the air. The drone reacted instantly. Its glowing core dimmed as the surge disrupted its sensors, causing it to wobble unsteadily. Lisa seized the moment, grabbing a metal pipe from the floor and charging forward. With all her strength, she swung the pipe at the drone, striking its core. The impact sent a shockwave through the machine, and it crashed to the ground with a deafening clang. For a moment, everything was still. Then, alarms blared in the distance as authorities arrived, alerted by the disturbance. Soldiers rushed into the subway, weapons drawn. One of them spotted Lisa and Alex huddled together, exhaustion etched on their faces. "It's okay," the soldier said, kneeling beside them. "You're safe now." Lisa collapsed to her knees, cradling Alex in her arms. Her body trembled with relief, but her mind was already racing ahead. The drone was down, but there were more out there, and they wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. Humanity had fought back today, but the battle was far from over. The silence of space was broken as Jake Monroe's squadron approached the alien vessel. The massive craft loomed ahead, its surface shimmering with an eerie glow that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. It was larger than any human-made structure, its size almost incomprehensible. The pilots exchanged tense communications over their headsets, their voices steady but tinged with awe. "This thing is huge," muttered one of the pilots, a young man named Ryan Cole. His voice cracked slightly, betraying his nerves. "Stay focused," Jake replied, his tone firm but calm. "We're here to do a job." As they drew closer, the alien ship began to react. Its surface rippled, and dozens of smaller drones detached from its hull, spreading out like a swarm of insects. Each drone was sleek and metallic, their movements precise and unnervingly fast. They didn't attack immediately, instead circling the human ships as if studying them. Natalie's voice crackled over the comms. "Remember the plan. Get close enough to scan their frequency, but don't engage unless you have to." Jake nodded to himself, even though no one could see him. He adjusted his controls, steering his ship toward the nearest drone. The others followed, fanning out to cover more ground. The tension in the cockpit was palpable as he activated the scanning equipment. A series of beeps filled the air as the system worked to lock onto the drone's signal. Suddenly, the drones moved. One of them darted forward, releasing a burst of energy that narrowly missed Jake's wing. Alarms blared in the cockpit as he pulled hard on the controls, dodging another blast. The rest of the squadron scattered, each pilot struggling to evade the relentless attacks. "Guess they don't like visitors," Ryan said, his voice strained as he swerved to avoid a direct hit. "Keep scanning," Jake shouted. "We can't leave until we get that frequency." The battle intensified. Plasma blasts streaked through the void, lighting up the darkness with flashes of blue and white. Jake's ship shuddered as a bolt grazed his shields, sending sparks flying across the dashboard. He gritted his teeth, focusing on the task at hand. The scanner beeped again, this time louder and more insistent. "I've got it," Jake yelled. "Natalie, I'm sending the data now." "Copy that," Natalie replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Transmitting countersignal. Stand by." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the alien drones froze mid-flight. Their glowing cores dimmed, and they drifted aimlessly, their synchronized network disrupted. The pilots let out a collective sigh of relief, but Jake knew better than to celebrate too soon. "We're not done yet," he said. "Fall back to regroup." As the squadron retreated, Jake glanced back at the alien mothership. It remained eerily still, its glowing surface now dark and silent. For a brief moment, he wondered if they had truly gained the upper hand, or if they had only angered the invaders further. Back on Earth, Natalie worked quickly to analyze the data Jake had sent. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she decoded the alien signal, searching for any additional weaknesses. Daniel stood nearby, watching her intently. The room was quiet except for the hum of computers and the occasional click of keys. "This changes everything," Natalie said finally, her voice tinged with both excitement and worry. "Their entire system relies on this network. If we can keep disrupting it, we might stand a chance." Daniel nodded, his expression grim. "But they'll adapt. We need to stay ahead of them." Meanwhile, in cities across the globe, people watched the skies with growing unease. News reports described strange lights moving overhead, and rumors spread about alien sightings. Parents held their children close, unsure of what the future held. Governments issued reassurances, but fear lingered in every corner of the planet. In space, Jake and his team prepared for the next phase of the mission. The alien ship was still out there, its true intentions unknown. But for now, humanity had bought itself some time and a fighting chance. Whatever came next, they were ready to face it together. In the hidden facility beneath Colorado, the air was thick with urgency. Technicians moved quickly between rows of advanced machinery, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer screens. The experimental spacecraft stood in the center of the vast hangar, sleek and otherworldly. Their designs were unlike anything the public had ever seen. Smooth curves, glowing panels, and engines that hummed with barely contained power. These ships were the result of decades of secret research, built to defend Earth against threats no one had dared to imagine. Jake Monroe stood near one of the ships, his hands resting on his hips as he studied its frame. He was a man of few words, but his sharp eyes missed nothing. Every detail of the craft was etched into his mind after hours of training. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the pit of his stomach. This wasn't just another mission. It was humanity's first real fight against an alien force, and failure meant more than just losing his life. It meant losing everything. Nearby, Natalie Hughes worked alongside a team of engineers, her fingers flying across a tablet as she reviewed the ship's systems. She had spent most of the night analyzing data from the alien transmission, searching for any clue that could give humanity an edge. Her findings were troubling. The aliens' technology seemed far beyond anything Earth had developed, even in its most classified programs. But there was something else, a pattern in their communication signals that hinted at a potential weakness. "Jake," she called, waving him over. When he approached, she pointed to a series of graphs displayed on her screen. "I think I found something. Their drones operate on a synchronized network. If we can disrupt the signal they use to communicate, we might be able to disable them." Jake frowned, studying the data. "How do we do that?" Natalie hesitated, her voice cautious. "We'll need to get close enough to scan their frequency. Once we have it, we can send out a counter-signal to jam their systems. But it's risky. If they detect what we're doing, they'll retaliate." Jake nodded slowly. Risky or not, it was their best shot. Then we'd better make sure we don't mess it up. As the hours passed, the facility buzzed with activity. Pilots like Jake trained tirelessly, running simulations and practicing maneuvers in virtual environments designed to mimic the chaos of space combat. Each session pushed them to their limits, testing their skills and endurance. For Jake, it was a reminder of why he had been chosen for this mission. His experience and instincts made him a natural leader, even if he didn't always feel like one. Meanwhile, above ground, the world remained unaware of the preparations underway. Governments issued vague statements about the alien presence, urging citizens to stay calm. But behind closed doors, leaders debated the next steps. Daniel Carter monitored the situation closely, coordinating efforts between military forces and intelligence agencies. He knew the coming battle would test humanity's resolve and its ability to adapt. Back in the facility, Natalie continued her work, her focus unshakable. She pored over every scrap of information about the alien ship, searching for patterns that others might miss. Her determination was matched only by her fear. If her calculations were wrong, the consequences would be devastating. But she refused to let doubt take hold. Humanity had spent centuries hiding its true potential. Now, with the lives of its children at stake, it was time to show the universe what Earth was capable of. By the time the sun rose, the first wave of pilots was ready. Jake climbed into the cockpit of his ship, his hand steady on the controls. Around him, the hum of the engines grew louder, vibrating through the metal frame. As the countdown began, he took a deep breath, his mind focused on the task ahead. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for certain: humanity wouldn't go down without a fight. The hangar doors opened, revealing the vast expanse of the sky above. One by one, the ships launched into the air, their engines roaring as they pierced through the clouds. The battle for Earth's future had begun. The United Nations headquarters in Geneva buzzed with tension as delegates from around the world gathered in a secure conference room. The air was thick with whispered conversations and the occasional clink of coffee cups, but no one seemed to relax. On a large screen at the front of the room, the image of the alien ship loomed ominously. Its strange, shifting surface glimmered faintly, even in the low-resolution footage captured by Earth's telescopes. Daniel Carter stood near the back of the room, his arms crossed as he listened to the murmurs around him. Beside him, Natalie Hughes tapped furiously on her tablet, her brow furrowed in concentration. She had spent hours analyzing the alien's message, and now she was ready to share her findings. When the meeting chair called for silence, all eyes turned to her. "The message is clear," Natalie began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "They're not here to negotiate or explore. They've demanded access to our children." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "We believe they're targeting young minds, specifically those under the age of 12. A murmur rippled through the room. Some delegates looked skeptical, while others exchanged worried glances. A representative from France raised his hand. "Why children? What do they want with them?" Natalie hesitated, glancing briefly at Daniel before continuing. "We don't know yet, but based on the data we've gathered, it seems their technology can interface directly with the human brain. Children's minds are more adaptable, more vulnerable. If they succeed, the consequences could be catastrophic." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what was at stake. If the aliens managed to carry out their plan, millions of children could be taken, or worse. Humanity couldn't afford to wait and see what the invaders intended to do next. Daniel stepped forward, his calm demeanor masking the storm of thoughts racing through his mind. "We've kept our true capabilities hidden for centuries," he said, his voice firm. "But now, it's time to act. We have the tools to fight back. Advanced spacecraft, weapons systems, and defensive measures that the public has never seen. It's risky, but we have no other choice." The room erupted into debate. Some argued that revealing humanity's secrets could provoke the aliens further, while others insisted it was the only way to protect Earth. After nearly an hour of heated discussion, a decision was made. A covert mission would be launched to intercept the alien vessel. Pilots trained in secret programs would take experimental ships into space, armed with cutting-edge technology designed to rival anything the invaders might possess. As the meeting adjourned, Natalie pulled Daniel aside. "Do you really think this will work?" she asked, her voice tinged with doubt. "What if we're wrong about their intentions? What if they're stronger than we expect?" Daniel met her gaze, his expression resolute. "We can't afford to second-guess ourselves now. If we hesitate, they'll move faster than we can react. This isn't just about protecting our children. It's about showing the universe that humanity won't back down." Later that evening, preparations began in earnest. In a hidden facility deep beneath Colorado, technicians worked tirelessly to ready the spacecraft. Among the pilots chosen for the mission was Jake Monroe, a rugged ex-military officer with years of experience flying experimental jets. Though he carried the scars of past battles, both physical and emotional, his determination was unwavering. As he suited up for training, he thought of the faces of the children he was fighting to protect. Failure wasn't an option. Back in Geneva, Natalie continued her analysis of the alien transmission. She pored over every detail, searching for clues about their motives and weaknesses. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as lines of code scrolled across her screen. Time was running out, but she refused to give up. Somewhere in the data, she was sure, lay the key to stopping the invaders. As the hours ticked away, the world braced itself for what was to come. Humanity had played dumb for centuries, hiding its potential from the stars. But now, with the lives of its children hanging in the balance, it was ready to show its true strength. Whatever happened next, the battle for Earth's future was about to begin. Daniel Carter sat in his dimly lit office, the faint hum of fluorescent lights above him blending with the soft click of his keyboard. He wasn't an ordinary man, though he looked it. Average height, graying hair, and a calm demeanor that made him easy to overlook. But beneath his unassuming exterior lay a mind sharp enough to outwit even the most cunning opponents. For decades, Daniel had been part of a secret program hidden deep within the layers of Earth's governments. It was a program that had one purpose: to protect humanity from threats beyond its understanding. Tonight, however, the weight of that responsibility felt heavier than ever. On the large screen in front of him, a grainy image flickered, a massive alien ship hovering near Jupiter's orbit. The object was unlike anything Earth's astronomers had seen before. Its sleek, metallic surface shimmered as if alive, and its sheer size dwarfed even the largest human-made spacecraft. Scientists around the globe were scrambling to make sense of it, but Daniel already knew the truth. This wasn't a random visit. The aliens weren't here to explore or negotiate. They were here for something far more sinister. Natalie Hughes, a brilliant scientist with sharp green eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, entered the room without knocking. She carried a tablet in her hand, her expression tense. "We've got a problem," she said, her voice low but urgent. "They've sent us a message." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What kind of message?" Natalie placed the tablet on his desk and tapped the screen. A series of strange symbols appeared, accompanied by a series of eerie tones that sent a chill down Daniel's spine. "It's not friendly," she said after a pause. "They're demanding access to our children." Daniel leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. For centuries, humanity had played dumb on the cosmic stage, pretending to be less advanced than it truly was. Governments had carefully concealed their technological breakthroughs, fearing what might happen if more powerful civilizations discovered Earth's potential. But now, with this alien ship looming in the distance, the mask was slipping. And the stakes couldn't be higher. Why children? Daniel asked, though he already suspected the answer. Natalie hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on the edge of the tablet. I don't know yet, but whatever they want, it's not good. If we don't act fast, millions of kids could be at risk. Daniel nodded slowly. There was no time to waste. He picked up his phone and dialed a secure line. Within minutes, he was speaking to top officials from around the world, explaining the situation and proposing a plan. Humanity's hidden arsenal of advanced technology would finally see the light of day. Experimental spacecraft, powered by energy sources never revealed to the public, would be deployed to intercept the alien vessel. It was a risky move, but there was no other choice. As the hours passed, preparations began in secret. Pilots trained in silence, engineers worked tirelessly to ready the ships, and intelligence analysts pored over every scrap of data about the alien craft. Meanwhile, Daniel stared at the image of the alien ship on his screen, his jaw tightening. For years, humanity had pretended to be weak, hoping to avoid attention from the stars. But now, with the lives of its children on the line, it was time to show the universe what Earth was truly capable of. The clock was ticking, and Daniel knew there was no room for error. Whatever happened next, humanity would face it head-on.